Blog Talk Radio.
He is the last of his kind. All that remains of a once powerful nation. Some think he is a myth. Some believe he is the chosen one, who will bring balance to a world at war. And some will stop at nothing to destroy him.
Welcome, everybody, to Morris Talk Live 100. I'm your host, Tarhaka and and tonight, our special guest will be Dr. Walter Williams, and we will be discussing the myth of the Septuagint and the Jews in ancient Egypt. We will be dealing with the following questions. Were there Greek-speaking Jews in ancient Egypt? What is a Jew exactly? Were there Jews in ancient Egypt? Period. What does the Septuagint have to do with me? Now, I want you to, this is a definition that I have come across involving the Septuagint. It states there, I got this off of Google, the Septuagint is defined as a Greek version of the Hebrew Bible, the Old Testament, including the Apocrypha, made for Greek-speaking Jews in Egypt. Now, this is what it's saying. We got Greek-speaking Jews in Egypt in the 2nd and 3rd centuries BC and adopted by the early Christian church. Okay? Now, this is what they got right there on Google for you to see. Now, before we get down into the broadcast, I want to let you all know we just put together a new group there on Facebook, and the title of it is Tarhaka Secured Party Group. Tarhaka Secured Party Group. Just type that into the Facebook search. And this group is dedicated to learning how to defend yourself against the courts and other government agencies and becoming free man and woman, the master of the art of becoming a secured party and creditor the right way. And we put a ton of information for you there. There are quite a few files, and we'll be adding on. But go ahead and just join that group and get on in there and so you can learn this stuff. And for those who have problem with debt, if you want to actually become a secured party creditor, just go to www.newdebtelimination.com. Now, you know it takes more than a UCC-1 filing to become a secured party and a creditor. Your trust is essential. Understanding public and private, and your proper status in commerce is also a part of being a secured party and creditor, and not a debtor. To do the thing right, go to www.newdebtelimination.com. That's newdebtelimination.com. Learn what private banking is all about. Learn what the lawyers and judges know. newdebtelimination.com. Okay, before we go any further, I'm going to go down and open up the commercials, and we'll be ready to go as soon as my guests arrive. Y'all hold tight. On February the 16th, 2020, Dr. Walter Williams and his lovely wife, Professor Arnetta Williams, will be here live in Jacksonville, Florida. That's right, February 16, 2020, Dr. Walter Williams and his wife, Professor Arnetta Williams, will be live at Al Salam's Masjid in Jacksonville, Florida. Tickets are available, $35 a piece. For your tickets, contact Tarhaka and El Bay, 904-303-9061. That's 904-303-9061. Don't miss this powerful teaching event. Make sure you got paper and pencil with you. Be there. Tarhaka here. We have our secure party and creditor package. Go to www.newdebtelimination.com. That's newdebtelimination.com. Get yourself free. Learn how to be a secured party. Learn how to be a creditor. Learn how to establish your trust. newdebtelimination.com. Okay, everybody. Tarhaka here again. Now, I know most of you all already know that all mortgages is illegal. But how do we go about getting rid of that mortgage debt? What about the foreclosure situation? What do we do? What steps do we take? Go to www.newdebtelimination.com. That's www.newdebtelimination.com, and so that we can assist you in solving that problem. Also, keep in mind that our new website is up and running. That's www.tarhakadebtelimination.org. That's tarhakadebtelimination.org. Got a problem with mortgages or foreclosure? newdebtelimination.com. newdebtelimination.com. All right, everybody. Brand new day, brand new start. CTFO is booming today. Get your free website and back office right now. Go to www.tarhakadebtelimination.org. That's tarhakadebtelimination.org. You know, on February 5th at sundown, we'll be in the year of the pig in 2019. That's right. That's the money year. And it's time for you to go into business for yourself. You've been saying what you're going to do. Now's the time for you to do it. Get your free website and free back office by going to www.tarhakadebtelimination.org. Look to the left. You'll see a little button say CTFO, brand new startup company, the hottest thing going in the country today. Now it's time for you to own your own company. Free back office, free website. Peace. Okay, everybody, we're back. It appears that my guests have arrived, and I'm going to open up the phone line so he can get in. Let's see here. Area code 773, Dr. Williams, are you with us?
Yes, sir. I'm here, Brother Tarhaka.
All right. Welcome, my brother. And we certainly appreciate you being here tonight, and I know you're going to deliver this information for us so everybody can know what's going on involving this Septuagint and the Jews in ancient Egypt. I also want to let the audience know before you begin that you'll be here on February the 16th, and the event will be at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I'm encouraging everyone when they arrive to make sure that they have the paper and pencil with them so that you can take notes on the information. Also, tickets are available. They're $35 a piece. Contact me, 904-303-9061. That's 904-303-9061. If you're not able to attend the event, you can just give us a donation toward the event. I'm sure my brother will certainly appreciate it. Okay? Just go to newdebtelimination.com. Just click on the little donation page and do your little donation. And because your brother delivers quite a bit of information for us, and a lot of people are waking up across the country to the truth involving our ancient story involving ancient Egypt and so on and like. So don't hesitate. If you are not coming to the event, just give us a donation toward the event, and it will certainly be appreciated, and it will certainly be used properly. Okay, Dr. Williams.
Yes, sir.
You want to tell us about this? You say the myth of the Septuagint and the Jews in ancient Egypt. You want to fill us in on what that's about?
Yes, okay. Well, out in the public and the arena of religion, which all religions are based on mythology, man created religious mythology. One has to remember this, that no human on earth was born with a religion. No human came here on earth, a Christian, a Muslim, Black Hebrew Israelite, Jew, Buddhist, Hindu, etc., etc. All religions are man-made. If an individual really can understand that statement, that no human, and you got 8 billion humans walking this earth, of all races, creeds, and color, who were born the same way. Every human is born that's walking this earth as human beings. They were created by their mother and father, who had a sexual encounter with each other to bring forth each and every human on earth, no matter what race, creed, or color that you may be. And coming forth into this world as a human being, you must realize that you were not born with a religion. I don't care who you are, what race you belong to. No human was born with a religion. So you can really understand that. Then you'll be ahead of the game. And you got to realize that all religions were created by man to control the thinking and the actions of man. So now, today, as I speak, and as we live through these days that we're living in today, religion has dominated the world populace, the people of the world. They got their heads full of religious ideology and religious literature to go along with that ideology. So tonight I'm going to bring in a subject that is hardly talked about, and that is the Greek Septuagint and the Jews in Egypt, because the two go together. Now, going back into religious literature and ideology, in Exodus, the Bible, you'll find a story about the Jews being in Egypt, which is, they're talking about our African ancestors who are great and glorious Africans who brought forth civilization to all of humanity. That our ancestors, according to Exodus, the Bible, which is a book that contains no human history whatsoever, only fiction, mythology, allegories, and metaphors. That book, the Bible, is an enemy of our ancestors, the ancient Egyptians. However, in this Bible, under Exodus, it gives an account, says that our ancestors, the Pharaoh, had Jews in bondage, and that the Jews fled Egypt and went towards the Red Sea, and the Red Sea rolled back to dry land, enabling the Jews to cross over on the other side. And when the Pharaoh's army got to the Red Sea, that the Red Sea rolled back in its natural form, and which is water, and drowned Pharaoh's army. That's the story. However, in 1999, in the Metro section of the Chicago Sun-Times, there was an article in there. It's entitled Little Known Facts About Egypt. In that article, it says that even though scholars have searched, there is no evidence of a Moses being in Egypt. Now, you know, Moses' mother was supposed to took Moses as a baby, put him in a basket, and floated him down the Nile River. They said they can't find no evidence of that. Also attached to that Pharaoh and Jewish story, they said that 10 plagues came against Egypt as a result of Pharaoh having Jews in bondage. They cannot find no evidence of any plagues, 10 plagues coming against Egypt. That article went on to say that they could not find any evidence of an exodus ever occurring in Egypt. And then the article went on to say that slavery was not even thought of in Egypt. So that's just one proof and one article that Western academia is bringing to the world of humanity. And then a year later, the year 2000, in the LA Times, there was an article in there about a rabbi named David Wolpe, who had a 2,200 membership in his synagogue in Modesto, California. And that article out of the LA Times said that David Wolpe told his congregation that there was no exodus, and that he is only telling them what scholars have discovered 15 years earlier, such as scholars such as Zeev Herzog and Israel Finkelstein. They were supposed to be archaeologists that brought forth that information to him and the rest of the world. So another thing I want to bring out to you about that story is that they said that the Jews ran towards the Red Sea, and the Ptolemy's army was in pursuit of them. And when they got to the Red Sea, the sea rolled back in order to give them dry land to cross on the other side. But when Pharaoh's army got there, the waves came back over and drowned Pharaoh's army. Now, let me bring something to your attention. Now, where's the Red Sea? Now, Egypt is in North Central Africa, which borders the Mediterranean. Across from Egypt is the Suez Canal. Now, where's the Red Sea? The Red Sea is opposite Ethiopia. Where's Ethiopia? Ethiopia is in southeast Central Africa, which the Red Sea borders. So that's a long distance from Ethiopia and the Red Sea to Egypt. So that's something else for you to think about. Now, I'm saying all of this to lay the foundation for our tonight's topic, which is the myth of the Greek Septuagint and the Jews in Egypt. Okay, now, you got to understand that out here today, the world is inundated with mythology brought forth by Europeans. The reason being is that the Europeans do not know a beginning history of themselves. They cannot give you any date-wise as to the time that they came on the scene of history, or they cannot show you anything in Europe that they can show as proof of the time that they supposed to have existed for the very first time. They can't show you that. So what they have done, since they've got control of the world of humanity to a larger extent, is that they have filled the world today, as I speak, with mythology. And the Bible is one of the vessels that they use to promote this mythology, these allegories, this metaphors, etc., etc. They put these stories in the minds of the people to try to make a created creature or created creatures by the name of Jews to exist as human beings. Now, Shlomo Sand, who lives in the illegal state of Israel, teaches at the Tel Aviv University, wrote a book about 12, 15 years ago, entitled The Creation of Jews. He wrote that book to tell the world how Jews were created. So the title of the book is telling you all and everything that you should know about Jews. You don't even have to open the book up and just read the title. So people all over the world now are beginning to come out with the truth, and people all over the world today are seeking the truth. So on this show that Brother Tarhaka produces on the last Sunday of every month and gives me the honor to come on and speak to you, we are bringing to you things and subjects that you should know about to give you more information in order to liberate your thinking out of this funk and fog that has been put upon us as a people. So here you have the subject that we're talking about. It's called the myth of the Greek Septuagint and the Jews in Egypt. Now, when I told you about Moses being in Egypt, they could not find no evidence of that. Could not find no evidence of the 10 plagues ever occurring in Egypt, nor could they find any evidence of an Exodus ever happening in Egypt, nor could they find any evidence of Jews in Egypt. Okay? So now, that story of Moses, now you go back, Moses is supposed to be a character in biblical literature dating back to the 14th century B.C. That's when that Exodus, 10 plagues, supposed to come upon Egypt. Moses in a basket floating down the Nile River, slaves building a pyramid, and the Hebrew slaves running towards the Red Sea, etc., etc. That story, that was 1,400 years ago. Now, when you come up to the myth of the Greek Septuagint, we're talking about now Jews are back in Egypt under Ptolemaic dynasties. We're talking about under the rulership of the Ptolemies, under Ptolemy II Philadelphus, which is a 2nd century Ptolemy, the son of Ptolemy I Lagi. We're talking about 283 BC. Now you take it at 283 BC, and you go back 1,100 years, you come up to the time of Moses, supposedly. You see? Now, you mean to tell me they ran out of Egypt, running from the Pharaoh, 1,100 years ago. But now they're back in Egypt in the 3rd century BC. They ran out, supposedly, in the 14th century BC. So we're talking about 1,100 years difference there. So how did they get back there? And the story goes that while under the rulership of the Ptolemies, the Greek Ptolemies, they lost their identity. And they lost their language, which was supposed to be Hebrew. And they lost everything that's connected to Judaism as we know it today. They lost that. The story says that they were Hellenized or had been Hellenized in Egypt under the Ptolemies. Now, the word Hellen, when you see that word or hear that word, that means one has been influenced by Greek culture. That means that you've been Hellenized. Like we Africans over here has been Europeanized while living in America, in this hemisphere of the world. So now here you have some Greeks Hellenizing some Jews in Egypt after the Jews had left Egypt 1,100 years prior to that. So now, how did they get back there? But that's the mystery part of it. See? So that's part of the lie. So now, here, let's go on to say this. It says that that Ptolemy II Philadelphus commissioned a person by the name of Orestes. Okay? Now, Orestes, it says the pseudepigrapha letter or the spurious letter of Orestes. You see, that's very important. The word spurious means false and fictitious. It's a word that is connected with the word pseudepigrapha, which means false and fictitious. So this letter is called the spurious letter of Orestes. Orestes is a supposed Jewish scholar of the 2nd century BC, and it goes on to say that Ptolemy II Philadelphus asked through this letter, this false and fictitious letter, that he made a request for through this letter for 72 scholars to come from Jerusalem to make a translation of the sacred books that he had in the great library of Egypt, Jewish books that he had housed in the great library at Alexandria, Egypt, that he sent for, through this letter, the spurious letter of Orestes, for these 72 Jewish scholars to come in to Egypt. And once they got to Egypt, they were assigned to 72 individual separate rooms. And they were supposed to each make a translation of the Old Testament or the Hebrew Bible in order for the Jews to be able to read what was written in their literature. He's supposed to translate from the Hebrew into the Greek because, again, the Jews were supposed to be Hellenized in Egypt. So now these 72 Jewish scholars came from Jerusalem, supposed to have each 6 of them, or they were supposed to be representing the 12 tribes of Israel. So they were supposed to represent 6 of the 12 tribes of Israel. In other words, they were supposed to be Jewish scholars representing the 12 tribes of Israel. And they got into the rooms, and they stayed for 72 days until they came out after translating the Hebrew Bible into Greek, and that each one had the same identical translation. This is how the story goes. So the question has to be asked, why is it that in history, which is biblical history, they try to take the biblical history and make it into human history by having Jews in all history? That's another thing I want to bring to your attention. History today, as it's written, is written to sustain a Jew in human form. You read it. Go out and read history in Western academia. It's always got information or always got something in their history. You find the Jews popping up. See? So I urge you to go and study the Greek Septuagint, 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 Septuagint. And once you study that, you'll find that it is related back to the Bible. See? So now, there's a documentary out featuring Morgan Freeman. This documentary is showing Morgan Freeman out into the world in search of God. He went to the illegitimate state of Israel, and he was invited into a home of a female rabbi. In that home, she invited him to have dinner with her family. At the dinner table, she told Morgan Freeman that the Bible is not a history book, but a book of ideas. So, don't take the Bible literal. I would suggest that you take your Bible, take it to the nearest garbage can, and get it out of your life. Because inside of the Bible, you'll find nothing but mythology, allegories, metaphors, and fiction. Nothing in there is true, except for a few names that you can point to, such as Egypt, Ethiopia, etc., etc. Those names are connected to a land area in the continent of Africa. Those names are connected to a people living in those land areas in Africa. But the rest of the stuff is non-human created man-made history. His story. His story is different from human history. His story is man-made. He makes up his story. And he captivates your mind, your imagination by putting fictional stories in your mind, in the school system that he has created. For instance, when you and I went to school right here in America, in elementary school, we were given books of fiction after they taught us ABCs, which made us literal and literate. With the ABCs that we learned, we were able to read, write, and spell. So therefore, we were beginning to read books, and the books that they gave us were books such as Little Red Riding Hood, Humpty Dumpty, Little Jack Horner, who sat in the corner eating his pumpkin pie, Jack and the Beanstalk, Pinocchio, Little Black Sambo, etc., etc. And when we went into high school, they gave us Hamlet, plays of Hamlet, mythology. They gave us also Shakespeare, which is questionable and mythology, you see. And they gave us Macbeth, a play, etc., etc. And then as we further advanced, they gave us Aristotle, which never walked the earth as a human being. It was supposed to have been a teacher of Plato, which never walked the earth as a human being. Plato was supposed to be a teacher of Aristotle, which never walked the earth as a human being. Aristotle was supposed to be a teacher of Alexander the Greek, which is fictitious, a fictitious lie. And they gave us Herodotus, which never walked the earth as a human being. They gave us Euripides, never walked the earth as a human being. They gave us Homer, which never walked the earth as a human being. They gave us Pythagoras, which never walked the earth as a human being. And I can go on and on and on. So their whole society and their whole school system it's based off of mythology, everything. So the world today is confused with all this mythology. So someone has to come along and point the finger and say, well, this is mythology. This is not true. This is not true. So therefore, we have to find the truth. And that's what we're all about on this show, finding the truth. So we as an African people can know the truth. See? The only truth that's out here is the truth by way of human history that our ancestors were known in history as ancient Egyptians. Our ancestors who were known in history as ancient Egyptians brought forth literacy to this whole entire planet that we call Earth. They are the ones that created the world's first alphabet to start the world of humanity in literacy. They created all forms of mathematics in order to build anything on Earth, such as a building or a pyramid, etc., or the Sphinx. One has to know mathematics, and they created a mathematical formula to build the greatest monument that has ever been built on planet Earth, and that's the Great Pyramid. And the Great Pyramid you carry around in your wallets, your purses, and your pocketbooks every day that you walk and live in America. On the back of each dollar bill is a picture of the greatest monument that has ever been built by man. A monument that was built by our African ancestors, the ancient Egyptians. And that monument on the back of that dollar bill is the Great Pyramid. At the top of that Great Pyramid, you see a round ball with the sun coming behind it. That's the eye of Horus. That's our position on this planet among humanity, we as an African people. But we can't see that in these various churches that we go to, or this mosque that we go to, or pretending that we are from the blood of Abraham. We're black Hebrew Israelites and so forth. Pretending that we are black Jews, that we're the original Jews, et cetera, et cetera. All that leads you back to mythology coming from the Bible. Don't associate yourself with that. Divest yourself from all religions as a people. You're going to have to do that in order for you to see and claim your greatness, which is lying in the continent of Africa, in Egypt. It's lying there for the descendants to come out of these churches, because as long as we are in these churches, when you go to church, one don't have to think. When you go to a mosque and talk about Islam alaikum, you don't have to think. When you say I'm a black Hebrew Israelite, you don't have to think. When you say I'm a black Jew, you don't have to think. When you say that I'm a Buddhist, you don't have to think. You say that I'm a Hindu, etc., etc. You don't have to think, because everything is all concocted and fixed up for you to just believe it. All religions are based off of belief. So as long as you believe these various religions, which is based off of mythology, you cannot see the truth. You have to put down your belief and start thinking. So when you start thinking, you begin to evolve. When you don't think, you're going to continue to revolve. So it's up to you. I cannot liberate you. Tarhaka and Dr.Walter cannot liberate you. We can only bring you the message or information for your liberation. You want to be liberated. Maybe you don't want to be liberated. Maybe you don't want to know the truth. Maybe you don't want to advance your knowledge. You have to advance your knowledge in order for you to grow. A people or a person who does not want to hear something new is a people or a person who does not want to grow. Now, when you say that you're a Christian, you go into these churches and you bow down to your enemy and prostrate yourself before your enemy, this dead white man on the cross. You're giving away all of your spiritual power. You're devaluating your spiritual power. You're devaluating your ancestors' greatness. You devalue that. So therefore, what happened to you is that you're still revolving in this ignorance from day to day, hour to hour, year to year, 365 days a year. So in order for you to come out of that, you're going to have to listen to people, if you want to, like me, other scholars out here in the African community, Brother Tarhaka, who is kind enough to have me on his show in the month, last Sunday of every month, who created the show for the sole purpose of getting us Africans out of this predicament and the dilemma that we're in today. So therefore, we can no longer stay in the same position, because you talk about white supremacy all the time. Well, when you go to church, you are enhancing and giving a platform in your thinking and giving a platform for the European to practice white supremacy on you and every member of this world of humanity, every person living on earth. You're giving him that authority to do just that. The icon, the image, and the symbol of white supremacy is institutionalized in every Christian church throughout America and throughout the world. It's this very moment that I'm talking to you. The symbol of white supremacy is that dead white man on that cross. That's the symbol of Christianity. And you go into these churches and you prostrate yourself before your enemy, that dead white man on the cross, who you pray to and call him your God and Savior. Now, do you think that the white race would take their children and their family into a church where a big black African Jesus is hanging on the wall and teach their family and their children that this black Jesus is their God and Savior? The answer is hell no. Then why are you doing it? Why are you continuing to do it? Why do you take your family in there? Why do you encourage your children to do that? That only diminishes you, us, as a race of people. Diminish you as a human being. Diminish our ancestors. You devalue the importance and the greatness of our ancestors when you do that. But I have to tell you this, and I will continue to tell you this. I will continue to bring repetition in telling you this as often as I can. And I'm doing it tonight. I'm bringing you repetition that I have made the same statement sometime back in other shows. But it is good to have this repetition to be spoken by me for your ears to hear. And maybe you missed it 2 or 3 months ago, or 5 or 6 months ago. Now, as I speak it today, you say, wow, okay, I didn't know that. But I told you this, been telling you this for a long time now. So now, it is time for us to wake up. It is time for us to liberate ourselves. And once we liberate ourselves out of this ignorance, then the whole world will be liberated. Why? Because the whole world of humanity today, as I speak, is following you. You, this little African who has been dehumanized or in America, which the white European structure tried to dehumanize us, but they failed to do that. It's impossible to dehumanize us. We're too great for that. But anyway, they tried anyway, and they failed. I'm letting them know, you fail, Europeans. You cannot dehumanize us Africans who are descendants of the greatest people that's ever walked this earth in human form, known as the ancient Egyptians. Okay? Our immortal legacy is in the continent of Africa, in Egypt, waiting for us, descendants, to come along and claim it. Don't look at those Egyptians over there today. They are settlers. They are invaders. They are occupiers of our ancestors' land area over there. They are not the original. We are the originals. Any African that was born in this country who call themselves black, which is a Spanish name given to the descendants of the ancient Egyptians, and the word black and Negro is synonymous. Any one of us in this country who call themselves black and Negro and African Americans are the direct descendants of the ancient Egyptians. Now, there's a book out that I mentioned have mentioned many times on this program and other programs that I'm on. A book written by Theodore P. Ford in 1939. He came out with a book called God Wills the Negro. And in that book, he is showing the Negro in America that the Negro and the ancient Egyptians are one and the same. He said in this book that the ancient Egyptians vanished and the Negro appeared. I'll say it again. Little P. Ford said in his book, God Wills the Negro, printed in 1939, which the book is out of print. He said that the ancient Egyptians vanished and the Negro appeared. Okay? Now you got 47 or 50 some odd millions of us Africans in this country. And the majority of us are Christians. And there's another number of us who are Muslims. A number of us are Black Hebrew Israelites and Black Jews. Some of us are Hindu, etc., etc. That is confusion, okay? We're divided. Religions have divided us, kept us from seeing who we are. As we go around talking about I'm a Christian, okay? And you pray to this dead white man on the cross, and you call him your God, okay? But yet still, this dead white man on the cross did not, and you call God, did not stop this white European to put us into slavery. Didn't stop that. So God that you're praying to has not done us any good. This God that you pray to in these churches, that this God did not stop this white European from lynching us in America. This God did not stop the European in America to initiate Jim Crow laws against us. Didn't stop that. So I can go on and on about God. God has not done anything for us as a people. Don't tell me what God done for you individually. That's your thinking about God. I'm talking about collectively, 47 or 50 some odd million of us in a collective number. What has God done for us? Okay? He sends Dylan Roof, this murderer, this little white European murderer, into Mother Emanuel's Church in South Carolina, and he murdered 9 parishioners, including the minister. They were all having services, bowing down and praying to this white God that they called Jesus the Christ on the cross. But God didn't come in that church and stop that ruthless, inhuman, spiritually dead, uncivilized savage from shooting and killing and murdering 9 Africans in that church. Then stop it. So I can go on and on and on. So we're going to have to understand who we are, and we're going to have to, on our way back to ancient Egypt, we're going to have to eliminate from our thinking all religions. We're going to take all religions to the nearest garbage can and discard it out of our minds and our spirit. We're going to take God to the same garbage can and throw God out, because God hasn't done anything, not only for us as a people, hasn't done anything for the whole entire world of humanity. Okay? Look what God did not stop the devastation that went on in Puerto Rico a year or so back. God did not stop that disaster that happened in New Orleans 8 or 9 years ago. Didn't stop that. God didn't stop that. Over 3,000 people perished in that incident in New Orleans when that levee broke. They lost their lives. They lost their homes. They lost everything. Where was God? God didn't stop that. So don't tell me about God. You got to take another look at God. Take another look at God. Don't tell me about what God, oh, God did this for me. No, not you. Why didn't God stop this murderous, inhuman, spiritually dead, uncivilized savage that came into Mother Bethel's church? Why didn't God stop him from murdering those 9 people? Why? So, we're going to take another look at God, but in the meantime, take God to the nearest garbage can and throw God in with Jesus the Christ. And take your Bible and do the same. Because when the Bible first came out in 1475, what marched out of the Bible was all these biblical characters that is out here today, such as Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Moses. The question has to be asked, where was Abraham born? In the Bible. Where was Moses born? In the Bible. Where was Isaac born? In the Bible. Where was Jacob born? In the Bible. Where was Noah born? In the Bible. Where was his 3 sons born? Ham, Shem, and Japheth. In the Bible. You see, I can go on and on. These are biblical characters, birthplace, the Bible. No human beings. They're biblical characters. Understand that. Understand that you, the human being, was not born with a religion. Get that through your mind. Get that in your heads. Get that in your thinking. You were not born with no religion. You didn't come here no Christian. There's nothing on your birth certificate that says you're a Christian. There's nothing on your birth certificate that says that you a Hebrew or Jew. There's nothing on your birth certificate that says you are a Buddhist. Nothing. That you're a Muslim. Nothing. There's nothing there. It says that you were a human being. That's what your birth certificate says, and you're a living proof of that. So understand what's out here. Understand what you've been confronted with by way of the school system, by way of the religious system, by way of Western academia, by way of the Western society and the Western culture that we live in, that we grew up in, that we live in at this very moment. You have to know something about the European. Know something about the European. Sit down and study him. Don't call him names. That won't do any good. Study him so you know him, so you know his tactics, so you know how to avoid them. You know something about him. Like William A. Bennett, who was once the Secretary of Education for the United States of America. He said, to be ignorant of history is to be intellectually defenseless. He said, to be ignorant of history is to be intellectually defenseless. So stop being intellectually defenseless and learn something about your ancestral history, your ancestors' history, and which pertains to you. Learn something about the Europeans' history, which pertains to the Europeans. And then you also can learn a little something about the history of the Chinese, the history of the Indians of India. Then you will have a good foundation. Once you learn about these various races that's on earth today, you'll find your position, our position among humanity. Where do we as Africans fit into the history of humanity among the world populace? You will find that we fit at the very top. We fit because our ancestors were the ones that brought civilization to all of humanity. Europeans didn't bring civilization to all of humanity. Chinese didn't bring civilization to all of humanity. The Indians of India did not bring civilization to all of humanity. It was our Africans, ancestors, living in the continent of Africa, in a country called Egypt, through their culture. They are the ones that brought civilization to all of humanity. That gives us our greatness. And we have been taught away from that on purpose by the European in his school system. He did that on purpose. You see? Not to know who our ancestors are, not to know our greatness, so therefore he can lord himself over us as something greater than we are. Okay? We're going to end that right now. Okay? We are the greatest. We are the chosen ones and the chosen humans on this earth. Why? Because creation, the higher power that created everything that's in and above the earth, that higher power that created the sky, the planets, the stars, the moon, the sun, air, earth, water, vegetation, animals, and humanity. They or that or what created all of that? Choose our ancestors, those Africans living in the continent of Africa, to be the one that bring forth civilization for all of humanity. So therefore, we are the chosen people. If you're going to use that term, I don't use that term, but if you just want to, and if I want to, I can use it, and I have human proof to verify that. You see, we have the power at this moment. This individual who are living in the United States of America, numbering 40-some-odd to 50-some-odd million of us living in this country, who call ourselves blacks and Negroes and African Americans, we have the power to change this world back to the time of antiquity. We can do that. All we have to do is do some studying and some thinking. That's the key. Study and think. Find out who we are. Find out about our ancestors known in history as the ancient Egyptians. Study that culture that came out of Africa. And you find that what came out of the continent of Africa through the culture of the ancient Egyptians, you'll find greatness. And our greatness is lying in the continent of Africa, unclaimed at this very moment that I'm talking to you. So the subject tonight is about the myth of the Greek Septuagint and the Jews in Egypt. So I hope I have shed some light on the myth of the Greek Septuagint, which is a supposed another form and attached to religious ideology coming from the Bible. So on your own, I'm telling you this, go and research the Greek Septuagint, Septuagint, Septuagint. Now, along this Greek Septuagint, they go a little further. They said that using the Greek Septuagint, Jerome translated for the Roman Catholic Church the Latin Vulgate. I don't know if you heard of the Latin Vulgate, but it's out there. The Latin Vulgate. It's supposed to be a translation from the Greek Septuagint by Jerome, thus creating for the Roman Catholic Church the Latin Vulgate, which is literature for the Roman Catholic Church. Now, also in the myth of the Greek Septuagint and the Jews in Egypt, you'll find they said that during the time of Ptolemy II, Philadelphus, Ptolemy II had sent a spurious letter to Orestes, asking Orestes to send 72 scholars from Jerusalem into Egypt. Now that was to translate from their books that was housed in the library at Alexandria, Egypt, whom Ptolemy II, Philadelphus, was supposed to have built. And supposed to take those books and translate from those books using the Greek alphabet to do the translation. So the Greeks who had been Hellenized or Greekized in Egypt, so they can read their Jewish literature. Okay, now they're saying that this is supposed to have been taken from the Bible. Now, the Bible is a book that's connected to a religion. In the 2nd century, there was no religion whatsoever on planet Earth. The world's first religion is Christianity. In order to have Christianity as a religion, you have to have a Christ. Christ was not created, nor the Virgin Mary was not created until the 5th century, CE, the Common Era. Where were they created? By whom were they created? They were created in Ephesus, in Turkey. Ephesus, Turkey. By whom? The Melkite Coptic Egyptians, trying to appease and satisfy the Greeks to make the Greeks a god. So they created these two creatures, non-human creatures. So you don't have a Christianity until 20 years later at the close of the Council of Chalcedon, 451. That's when the world's first religion was created, right there at Ephesus, 431, when they created this Christ and this non-human Virgin Mary, and later, 20 years later, they at the Council of Chalcedon, that's when they created for this Christ supposed to have given him a human nation by creating and attaching the word Persopon to him, a person, making this Christ a person, thus creating him as a human being. Okay? So at the end of that council meeting, Christianity officially began. That was in the 5th century CE. That's the world's first religion right there. So where did this Bible information come from that's pertaining to the Greek Septuagint? They have no Bibles, they didn't have no religion then. Okay? Then it goes on to say that from this Greek Septuagint, Jerome translated from the Greek Septuagint Bible in Latin, from the Greek. In Latin, he created what is known in history as the Latin Vulgate for the Roman Catholic Church. There was no Roman Catholic Church then, during the time of the supposed Jerome. The time of Jerome was supposed to be the 5th century. Okay? There was no Roman Catholic Church in the 5th century. In fact, there was no church at all in the 5th century. You don't get the first church, which is the Hagia Sophia, until the 6th century, 532. In Turkey. It was built there at the wishes of Justinian I and his wife Theodora, who commissioned African architects to design and build this world's first Christian church known in history as the Hagia Sophia, the Church of Mary and Christ. So therefore, you don't get no church back then by way of Jerome using the Greek Septuagint to translate from the Greek Septuagint a Latin version for the Roman Catholic Church. You don't get to the Roman Catholic Church doesn't come about until the 15th century, 1445 to be exact, the 15th century. In Europe, when the first seat was moved out of Northeast Africa into the outskirts of Rome by John VIII, who went into Florence, Italy, to relinquish what is known in history as the donation of Constantine, which I write about in my book, The Historical Origin of Christianity. The donation of Constantine was relinquished to make way for the seat that had been in Northeast Africa, in Constantinople, at the Church of Hagia Sophia for 908 years until it was transferred on the outskirts of Rome over the catacomb. And that's where they built St. Peter's Church, or Basilica. So therefore, who is Jerome? You go and search history, you'll find out that Jerome is a name used by Desiderius Erasmus to write through. Jerome is a name used by Johannes Froben to write through. Johannes Froben had a printing press in Basel, Switzerland, that printed up the material for the Roman Catholic Church. And you'll find that Desiderius Erasmus was the first human to propound and create what is known as the New Testament. He created the Synoptic Gospels, the three Gospels, Mark, Matthew, and Luke. He also created 6 other manuscripts, 1 and 2 Peter, 1 and 2 Corinthians, Galatians, and Epistles to the Romans. Those are his 9 manuscripts that he contributed to the makeup of the New Testament, or the Novum Testamentum. So he used the name of Jerome to write through. Johannes Froben used that name to write through. Let me tell you how Europeans do things. They will take a name, such as Jerome, and they incarnate that name. How does one incarnate a name? You take a name, any name, and you put flesh on that name. By doing this, attaching stories to that name, and give that name a birthplace, give it some type of human activity, and say that he did this, give it a date, what he did. Give it a date when he was supposed to be in existence as a human being. But that's just a name that they use to write through. You see, I can create a name, you can create a name, and incarnate that name. And you can take that name and write through that name, and you can write through and say that this name, whatever name you give, existed during the time of antiquity, existed 10,000 BC, existed 3,000 BC, and this is what this name that you created did. Give him a birth date, give him parents, his mother and father's name, give him, through the incarnation of this name, incarnating this name, you give it a relationship with a female, relationship with having children, whatever you want to do with it. Okay? Just like a puppet. A puppet sits on the lap of the puppeteer, and he manipulates this puppet and to say whatever he wants is to say. So that's the same thing with incarnate. Look it up. Incarnate. That's how you do it. And that's how the Europeans have done it for hundreds of years. They have done this incarnating of names. And they get away with it. Why? Because they control the school system that we attend. And they use mythology to manipulate your thinking. I remember we had a program some time ago, the British plot to destroy the culture of the Ethiopians. Some of you all remember that, but it's out there. You can pull it up on your iPads. Now, in this segment, it was brought out that a man by the name of Thomas Macaulay, who was a member of the British Parliament, who went before the British Parliament in 1835 and said these words, "I have been to Africa, and I've met a proud people who were not beggars or thieves." He went on to say, in order to destroy these people, we have to destroy their culture. We have to destroy their spirituality. We have to destroy their educational system and put what's foreign and European in their minds to make what's foreign and European greater than what they have in their culture. See, so this is one of the tricks that Europeans have done to us as a people. We're targets of that. We're the only ones that can destroy white supremacy. All we have to do is claim our ancestors as being the ancient Egyptians. And white supremacy is over with because Europeans cannot match, coming from the culture of our great African ancestors, the ancient Egyptians, they cannot match anything of greatness that they can show the world that will match either on an equal basis or a superior basis. Can't do that. When you go into Europe, you'll find, and open up the curtains of Europe, you'll find no greatness there whatsoever. So they cannot go out into the world and show the world anything of European greatness. So they try to take our greatness away from us as a people. But I'm not going to let them do that. Tarhaka and Dr. is not going to let them do that. That's the reason why we have this show that he created every last Sunday of the month to bring the truth to us Africans as a people. So with that, I'm going to turn this back over to my dear brother, Tarhaka and Dr. Brother Tarhaka?
Okay, Dr. Williams, you done a fantastic job as usual. And I'm going to state to the audience, if you have a question or comment, now's the time to press 1 on your phone. The number to dial into the broadcast is 319-527-6084. That's 319-527-6084. Press 1 on your phone. That'll give me an indication that you have something to say, and I open up the phone line so that you can get in and you can talk to Dr. Williams. And if you got questions or comments, you'll have a chance to raise your hand and answer, and he can answer you. Now, Dr. Williams, I also want to state that once again, on February 16th, Dr. Walter Williams will be down here in Jacksonville, Florida, February the 16th. That'll be on a Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and he'll be teaching right here at Al Salam's Masjid. Tickets on sale. They're $35 a piece. I have tickets. If you plan to come down to the event, all you got to do is call me, 904-303-9061. That's 904-303-9061. And I can take your information. You can go to my website and do your purchase your ticket in the amount of $35. That'll give me right there at newdebtelimination.com. I'll put your information on the ticket if you plan to come, and your tickets will be at the door when you get there. So all you got to do is come in, give them your name, and you in there. It'll start at 1 p.m., so you might want to get here early. For those of you who are coming to the event, make sure you get here early so you can get your seat, and there'll be vendors down there. You get a chance to get you some things to take home with you. And for those of you who are not coming to the event, we are accepting all donation that you give toward this event. I know my brother would greatly appreciate it, and we thank you so much. You can go to newdebtelimination.com. Just click on the donation page. Do whatever donation amount that you wish, and we'll certainly appreciate it. And that will come over to us, and we'll show our gratitude. We'll send you emails and stuff. And if you want to talk to us, you can always call me at 904-303-9061. Now, Dr. Williams, I have your book here, and I was looking back in the concluding comments section where you state the following. This book is written to set the spiritually free, set you spiritually free of all religious bondage that our Amalekite, Coptic, Egyptian ancestors unwittingly helped to set into motion Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. Western society used these religions as political tools to indoctrinate the world masses. This includes your great-grandparents, your grandparents, your parents, and now you. Any person reading this book should by now know that I confirm my heritage as an ancient Egyptian. I will spend the rest of my life sharing my research with those oppressed descendants of the original ancient Egyptians among us, who will find their own way back as they resurrect the spiritual consciousness of our ancient Egypt within them. Okay, that is some profound information, and I'm so thankful that we had a chance to come across each other. I don't remember how we got together, but I'm certainly glad we did, because I gleaned a tremendous amount of information, and it reflects in my consciousness wherever I go. And anytime I run into somebody that wants to know what it is that I think about myself, it's easy for me to explain that, because I'm able to provide them with proof. I reflect my culture, even when I'm out in public. If I'm having to attend a church or funeral or something, that's the only time I'll go in there. But I'm reflecting my own culture, my own style. I don't own any suits and ties, any European suits, or any of that stuff. But it is amazing to me to see our people continue to do the same thing over and over and over, looking for a different result. And they have this idea that if you don't follow their religious belief, then you are going to go to hell. And this kind of business. And it's amazing to me. And when you begin to put logical question to them about what it is they believe in, then they become offensive. They're on the defense. If you just ask, basic, simple questions, okay? You say you believe in Jesus, you believe in God. You are a Baptist, or you a Presbyterian, or you a Jehovah's Witness. All these different categories, all these confusing entities. The Baptists don't want anything to do with the holiness, and the The holiness don't want to talk to the Jehovah Witness, and it is an amazing phenomenon to me to see us constantly do this thing over and over and over without ever waking up and being in a position where they not only do they not know the facts, but they're going to go out of their way to keep you from giving them the facts. So that way they will remain in ignorance and in their comfort zone, giving someone else your money every Sunday and struggling at the end of the month, and but you think that you have done something for God. But this kind of thing goes on and on. I see we got a caller with his hand raised. I'm going to go ahead and open up the line for area code 864. Area code 864, you on the air.
Peace and power, family. I'm going to greet you all in the beautiful language, the Metal Hotel Pool. Uncle Johnson there. How's everybody?
Everybody's fine, brother. Come on in. What's on your mind?
Yes, sir. Yes. Man, this has been a great show. Give thanks, praise to the elder for shedding light on this discussion, on this topic. And it seemed to come, I'm going to say, in the face. First, my name is Equani, and I'm calling from South Carolina. And this is, basically an interesting topic, as I'm at a place where, I come from a very religious, background. And, in particular, talking about Christianity. And, I guess I got to a point where I started to ask questions out of the Bible, post the Bible. And I understand everything that Dr. Williams is saying, but there's another part I wanted to add to it, if I could, that even lodged deeply inside our feeble expression, inside our lacking of intelligence, inside of our ignorant nature, it still lies a level of compassion, unlike what that European figure that a lot of times we worship and praise can ever give us. We know that them Europeans created, the figure of Jesus in their image. They created the stories, had their own workings with the stories, with the mythology. Of course, they got, a lot of their start from learning about us, learning about a lot of our myths and stories, our cosmology. But there is still something large in there. Is a place of our ancestors. There is a place of our commitment that even in the face of adversity, you still, are tied into Mother Nature. That we still, even though we went through the transatlantic slave trade, we were forbidden to practice spiritually, we still were able to wind up catching the Holy Ghost, as they call it. But we do know, going back to ritualistic practice, going out to our traditions, we do know that it's a whole lot deeper than the Holy Ghost. We do know that there is still that connection to African genealogy that is still there. Our tradition and our culture is still there. The heart is pretty much still there, but our minds have pretty much been detached from our hearts. And I think that these discussions, as it relates to a lot of people, even outside of myself, there have been a lot of people that are exiting the church because it just doesn't add up. As the doctor, the Ausseer or the ancestor, Dr. John Henry Clark said, who will speak for Africa in the 21st century? And I've been even more so outside of the church. I meet these new Negroes that they might not go by the church, but then they're saying, well, hey, I'm not from Africa. I'm from America. I'm not African. I'm Asiatic. You understand? So the reality is that in going into my studies in the book of Ptah-hotep, it does teach us as the elders, as the ones that are the wise ones, not to argue with the fool, not to feel confident and justified because we are making those that don't know feel bad. And I have had to kind of, eat those words myself, because after I got outside of the church, there was a certain level of arrogance I had. And it was like, well, I'm not in the church, but at the same time, those are our people. So I can respect the ability for this platform for the doctor to bring it in a palatable way where the collective of people could understand and try to connect the dots and have some primary, some resources to now start their own research, which all of us need to start our research. And if you haven't started, and if you have started, definitely continue your research. As you were speaking, as the doctor was speaking, talking about our connection to the Creator or the Most High. After I got out of the church, I was at a place where I almost was spitting on that connection. But after I got into African culture, I realized that there is no I in team, right? There is no I in team. So when we're talking about that connection, we're drawing our connection to the Creator by way of the ancestors, by way of our recent ancestors, going back, tracing our lineage. And I definitely agree with the great doctor saying that majority of our people were collectively gathered on the Nile Valley, right? I think that's a common consensus. It was popping. It was the leader of the world. You understand, in those times. So it was a popping place where everybody wanted to be. I do understand that, but there have been this growing number of Negroes that are basically spitting on Nile Valley culture, Nile Valley tradition, saying that, hey, we were always here in America, that, hey, and I wanted to ask that question to the doctor. There are this group of people that are now asserting that, hey, down in there have been some pyramids found here in America. Haven't seen any scholarship to actually back that up. They're saying that in the Grand Canyons that there were actually similar structures compared to that what we had in Egypt or in Kemet or in the Nile Valley. Now I wanted to, kind of get you to weigh in on that, or you guys to weigh in on that. How substantial were those cultures? If it's kind of hard to find real evidence there that we were really, building at monumental heights and really doing great things as it relates to comparing to Nile Valley culture. Because like I said, I met with a thing where people are telling or asserting that, hey, there's no use to, praising what we were doing in Africa when we can praise what we were doing here in America. How do you guys feel about that? And actually any type of primaries, any type of documentation sources to substantiate the claims that we were actually building civilizations were thriving, and we were proud of it here in America and in the Grand Canyon.
Okay, what you're saying and the things that you are talking about and the mindset that you have is right on target. So I want to congratulate you and I applaud you for your ability to think. And that's all I want our African community to do in America, is to begin to think. And no longer stay in these churches or any religion, because those religions that are out here today, and the church and the mosque and synagogues and wherever else you may go, will not allow you to think. So I applaud you, young man, for a thinker that you are. And you are a asset and a credit to us as a people, as an African people in the United States of America and in the world. You're an asset to our ancient African ancestors. Now, there are some things that I want to bring to your attention. I want you to understand this. It was not the European who created Christianity. It was our African ancestors, known in history as the Melkite Coptic Egyptians. The Melkite Coptic Egyptians ran the government of ancient Egypt during the time of antiquity. They were there when the Greeks came into Egypt under Alexander's leadership. And if you've been listening to previous broadcasts via Tarhaka and Dr.Walter's broadcast radio shows like you're listening tonight, you would have heard me say that. But anyway, that's the correction. It was the Melkite Coptic Egyptians who created this non-human called Jesus Christ, this non-human called the Virgin Mary for the Europeans. Remember, for the Europeans, not for themselves, because our ancestors, the ancient Egyptians, did not need any creation of any type of deities for their culture. They already had what they needed in their culture before the Europeans got there. So it was the Melkite Coptic Egyptian created this Jesus Christ. So I just want to bring that to your attention. Now, the second thing I want to bring to your attention and ask you this question: have you read my books, The Historical Origin of Christianity and The Historical Origin of Islam?
No,
man?
sir, I haven't. No, sir,
you haven't?
No,
you say you haven't?
No, sir.
All right. I suggest you do this if you want to now. I'm not trying to sell you any books.
Oh, yes, sir.
Go to your African bookstore, Barnes & Noble, or Amazon, and order my 2 books.
Okay. Yes,
and
sir.
In those 2 books, information is in those 2 books for you, because I wrote those 2 books for the African community, not for the broader community, but for one community. There's information in there that you should read, and then it'll clear up a lot of things that you been thinking about and pertaining to these religions and so forth and so on. Just before you came on, Tarhaka had read the closing and concluding comments from my Historical Origin of Christianity book. So I suggest that you buy both books and study them. That's number 1. Number 2 is what I told you about who created Christ, the non-human Christ and non-human Virgin Mary was your ancestors, our ancestors, those Coptic Melkite Egyptians. Now, when the seed of Christianity moved out of, the first church was built there, like I mentioned tonight, in northeast Africa, a place called Constantinople. Constantinople today is known as Istanbul, Turkey today. That first church was built at the urging of Justinian I and his wife Theodora, urging the Coptic Egyptians who had the technology and the knowledge to build anything. Because anytime you build anything, you have to have the knowledge of mathematics to do that. You can't build anything without the knowledge of mathematics. So the ancient Egyptians, our ancestors, had that technology and information. So they designed and built the world's first Christian church ever built on planet Earth. And that church that they built, they began to build it in 532 CE. Now, remind you that BC dates you count down, and the dates that we live in you count up. You see? So back then, they were living in dates that you count up, which is, since there's no Jesus Christ, you can't say Anno Domini or before the death of our Lord or AD. You can't say that after the death of our Lord. You can't say that. So you have to use the term CE. the Common Era. So they built that church beginning in 532, and they finished it 5 years later on December the 27th, 537 CE. December the 27th, 537 CE. Okay? And every December the 27th, they had a celebration. That church was built in the honor of Mary and Christ. Every December the 27th, they had a festival celebration. In other words, within the double-walled city of Constantinople, which is called Istanbul, Turkey today, within the confines of that wall, they practiced Christianity, and they also, on that date, December 27th, they had a festival celebration like they have on December 25th in this country and around the world. Now, outside of the double-walled city of Constantinople, Christianity was not practiced because our ancestors, the Coptic Egyptians living in the secular community, refused to worship that dead. They refused to worship Christ and Mary and Christ. They refused that, but it was done behind and within the confines of the double-walled city of Constantinople. On December 27th, once a year they had a festival. Like they have once a year a festival for the Mass of Christ. They call it Christmas. So it's the Mass of Christ that they celebrate every year. See, on December 25th. Now, that seat lasted and remained over there in Northeast Africa. Today, Northeast Africa is called the Middle East. That's a political name given to that land by the British government after they defeated the Ottoman Empire during World War I. World War I was 1914 to 1918. So after that was over, that war was won by the British. In 1920, the League of Nations mandated that area, which is called the Middle East today, over in Northeast Africa, to the British government. And they mandated the area that's known today as Syria to the French in 1922. You see, so that's, I can go on a little bit more about the history, but I don't want to take you too far away. Now, the seat of Christianity, when it was moved out of Northeast Africa, out of the double-walled city of Constantinople, out from the Hagia Sophia, the world's first Christian church, in 1439 by John VIII, who was a Byzantine emperor at that time. And he moved that seat knowing that it was just a matter of time that the Ottoman Turks would break through that double-walled city and seize Constantinople and seize the Hagia Sophia, the world's first Christian church. So what he did, in 1439, he went to Europe, went to Florence, Italy. At the Curia there, the word C-U-R-I-A means college. At that college, he relinquished what is known in history, and I write about this in my book, The Historical Origin of Christianity. He relinquished the donation of Constantine. In my book, The Historical Origin of Christianity, I write about there was 3 historical events. That's the reason why I say that you should get the book. There are 3 historical events that came about in history that caused the world's first ecumenical council to come about, the Council of Nicaea I in 325. And those 3 historical events was the Donatist Schismatic Controversy, the donation of Constantine, and a strong statement by Arius. You can read it there in my book. But anyway, John VIII went in 1439 to relinquish and move that seat out of Northeast Africa, out of Constantinople, into Europe by relinquishing the donation of Constantine for that to happen. So that seat over in Northeast Africa, the first church seat the first Christian seat was over there for 908 years until it was moved on the outskirts of Rome over the catacombs. In 1445, there was a committee of 12 men who asked our ancestors, who were then, they called the Moors. I know you've heard of the Moors. But they asked the Moors to come into the Vatican. The area that we know today as the Vatican, and build over the catacombs St. Peter's Church, known as St. Peter's Basilica. You see? So now, that was done without me going into a whole lot of other history connected to this time and era, and area in time. I'm going to make it as quick and understandable as I can to you. Now, when this seat was moved out of northeast Africa, out of the double-walled city of Constantinople, which is Istanbul, Turkey today, out of Constantinople, which is known as Istanbul, Turkey today. Then back then it was known as Constantinople. When the Moors began to build over the catacombs, St. Peter's Church, known today as St. Peter's Basilica, if you look at the dome on top of St. Peter's Church today, and you look at the dome of the world's first Christian church, was built in northeast Africa, the Hagia Sophia, the picture of the world's first Christian church is on the front cover of my book, The Historical Origin of Islam. See, and this is the reason, some of the reasons why you should get both books, where you can study what I have to say in both books, and you can further enhance your enhance your knowledge that you have now. You are a very brilliant young man. You are a thinker. Okay, so now when the seat of Christianity was moved on the outskirts of Rome in Europe over the catacombs, and the Vatican, as you see it today, over there today, is nothing but a replica of the double-walled city of Constantinople that houses the world's first Christian church, the Hagia Sophia. It's nothing but a replica of that. And that was built by the Vatican I'm talking about, was built by the Moors. Who are the Moors? The Moors are a direct descendant of the ancient Egyptians. The name Moor is only a nickname. Tarhaka and I had a program about the Moors about a year and a half ago, something like that. So it will behoove you to call Tarhaka and ask him how you can, or you can ask him before you get off the air here, ask him how to access those shows that we previously had done in the past. Now, getting back to the point I'm trying to bring to you is this. Today, as I speak, the world populace is getting European Christianity. They're not getting the historical origin of Christianity, because the historical origin of Christianity was created by our ancestors, the Melkite Coptic Egyptians, for the European. He did this for the European. He didn't do this for us or his ancestors or his of our African ancestors, ancient Egyptians. He didn't do that for them, because they had everything all set up before the European ever came over in that hemisphere of Africa, in Egypt. Our ancestors had in place those sacred temples. Those temples over there were institutions. They were learning institutions. That's where the ancient Egyptians taught their children, from those institutions. But anyway, getting back to the seat being moved into Europe. The Europeans, when that seat was moved in there, they changed the format for Christianity to try to erase the history and the creation of Christianity that our ancestors, the Melkite Coptic Egyptians, had created for the Europeans. That's very important. They created this for the Europeans. You see, not for themselves, like I mentioned just a moment ago. Now, when that seat was moved out of Northeast Africa into what we know today as the Vatican, the Europeans changed the format of Christianity. They hired a man by the name of Leonardo da Vinci. I'm sure you heard of that name. Leonardo da Vinci, they hired him to paint a picture of the Last Supper. See, the Last Supper never came about by human beings. It's a picture drawn by Leonardo da Vinci with attached stories to it. And they use those attached stories along with that picture to put into the minds of the believer in Christianity. They say, oh, at the Last Supper, Jesus was portrayed by Judas Iscariot and by Peter and so forth and so on. You've heard the story. And that he ate the Last Supper. Now, here, when a person is ready to be put to death on a death row in a prison, he is offered to eat what is known as his Last Supper before he is executed. Now, so this is back to this picture drawn by Leonardo da Vinci, the Last Supper. It's the same thing. But now, here you have, if you read my books, you'll find out that this Christ image, a non-human, was created along with the non-human, the Virgin Mary, at the Council of Ephesus in 431. So now, he was born there. Okay? Not by physical birth like you and I came into this world, but by the Melkite Coptic Egyptians creating this created creature called Jesus Christ, by creating this created creature called the Virgin Mary. So now, 431 was the date. So now here you come up to 1445, and you're going into the creation of the Vatican. You're going into the creation and the building of the St. Peter's Basilica, known as St. Peter's Church, known as St. Peter's Basilica, and you're going into the area where the Moors, a nickname given to our ancestors, the ancient Egyptians, by the Spanish, after they asked and invited our ancestors, the ancient Egyptians, into Spain to bring civilization to them. Okay? Now, from 431 up until the time of Leonardo da Vinci. Leonardo da Vinci was born in 1452. So you put 20 years onto that, and you're going to come up to the time of 1475, roughly around that area, when he drew that painting. So now here you have a Christ being created in 431, and then you're going to have him dying by way of a crucifixion and by way of eating his Last Supper 1,045 years later. You see? So something is wrong right there, but that Last Supper was a picture drawn by Leonardo da Vinci. And then he drew the crucifixion of Christ. That was no crucifixion. It was only a painting drawn by Leonardo da Vinci. They put attached stories to it. He gave it to the believer, and he believes it. Then he drew a picture of Mary Magdalene. They put a story to that. It said Mary Magdalene went to the graves sight of Jesus. She, upon arriving at the gravesite, she saw, noticed a stone had been rolled back from the burial tomb of Jesus, and she looked down in the tomb. It was empty. That Jesus had gone up into heaven to be with his Father God. So, long story short, time is getting of an essence here. So, I suggest that you get both of my books, and I just want to make those points out to you, my dear brother. But I commend you for the person that you are and the person that you're making yourself into. You're evolving. So keep on evolving, and my brother, I love you. Okay? And keep up the good work.
Yeah, all right. I had to mute his mic. He had quite a bit of background noise going on, and I'm going to address this question he was asking us about the Egyptians in the Americas. I'm posting some stuff up in the chat room right now. But I have another caller with his hand raised at area code 732. I'm going to open up the line and let him in.
Okay.
Area code 732. You're on the air. What's your question or comment for our guest?
Hey, good evening, gentlemen. My Art Hotep to Brother Tarhaka and Dr. Walter. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine. May I to you, my brother?
Thank you very much.
Where you calling from?
I'm calling from New Jersey.
Oh, okay, great.
My name is G.
Your name is Gene?
G, like the letter G. G-E-E.
Oh, the letter G. Okay, Brother G.
Yes, sir. Dr. Walter, it's always a pleasure to listen to you disseminate this information, especially at this time in our lives where things seem to be kind of falling apart. And as for me, thanks to you and Brother Tarhaka, I'm able to see through all the smoke that's out here. And I follow your programs every month, like we're doing tonight. And I'm like one of those kind of fellas that, I take the cotton out of my ears and I stick it in my mouth. But I have a question from last month's episode that I need help with. I have both of your books. I bought your books some 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm always, when I listen to your program, you and Brother Tarhaka, I always have my pen and paper ready, my books open, and to follow you along so that I could get it right. Except I was a little thrown off guard on the last episode where the topic was about the three churches.
Yes.
And I just knew I had it right because my answer was I know about the first church that was created by Emperor Theodore.
Well, and, the Emperor Justinian and his wife Theodora commissioned African architects to design and build that church. Thank
you. Yes, that's correct. And so I remember at that same in that same time era, Empress Theodora had commissioned Jacob Bardaeus. This is what I learned from you by following Brother Tarhaka's videos, and during that same time, the Jacobite church was created, and I thought that was the second Christian church for the Monophysites.
It wasn't a Christian church; it was a Monophysite.
Okay.
The Monophysite is not a Christian.
Okay, right. That clears it up. Well, because in your book it says it was done for the Arabs for the Monophysite Christianity. So that kind of got me a little confused. And so when you mentioned that the Church of England was founded in 1160, if I'm not mistaken, and
no,
that church.
No, it was the Church of Notre Dame.
I'm sorry, the Church of Notre Dame, the one that caught fire last April.
Right, that's in Paris, France.
Okay.
They began to build that in 1163, and they finished it 182 years later in 1345.
Right. Right. Okay. So the Jacobite church was not a Christian church. It was for Mohammedanism.
Well, it was no back then. There was no Mohammedanism then. It was a group of people, a group of Africans over there who were favorites of Theodora. In other words, they were her pets. You know, they got many favors from her and so forth and so on. So they supported or tried to support her and her husband in the promotion of Christianity. But they were monophysites. So therefore, they're known in history as the Jacobites.
The Jacobites. Okay.
That's what I was trying to bring up.
Right, the Church of Notre Dame. Right, the Church of Our Lady. Was it something like the Church of Our Lady?
Well, that's what Notre Dame. The word Notre. That's what Dame means. Dame is another name for Mary.
Right.
Or Dame, or whatever you want to call it. Some people call it Notre Dame. Some people call it Notre Dame. So, but the name Dame or Dame is another name for the Virgin Mary.
Yes. Well. Anyway, sir, I enjoy your lectures on, and Brother Tarhaka, he posts them quite readily, and I'm always going through them and listening. And I tell you, man, I'm very uplifted by your knowledge and your wisdom, and you're doing a very good job, sir, and I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, my brother. Hey, that's another plug in my appreciation of what I'm trying to do. That's encouraging to me. So thank you so much. I certainly appreciate that. I'm very humbled by that. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, sir. Well, I'll sit back and continue to listen. Thank you very much.
Okay, my brother. May I hotep to you?
My heart hotep to you and Brother Tarhaka as well.
Thank you.
May I hotep, brother. Well, thank you for calling in. Okay, yes, Dr. Williams, I'm going to take a little quick commercial break, and when we get back, we can finish up. As far as the brother's question about the Egyptians in the Americas, he's going to have to gather the information. There's quite a bit of it available on the internet, and of course we have other books and stuff that's come out. He got Mr. Horace Butler's book, When Rocks Cried, that gives us a tremendous amount of information about the Egyptians in the Americas. Also, Dr. Ivan Van Sertima, he gives us some evidence and stuff in that book there. And there's quite a few that quite a bit of information about the Egyptians in the Americas. And I post a lot of it here from this one article. I guess I'll put the rest of the stuff up here. But I'm gonna take a little quick break, and I'll be right back. So
can I say something before you break up, Brother Tarhaka?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
To the brother that wants to know about the ancient Egyptians in America, he can get a book called America BC by Barry Fell, F-E-L-L. America BC by Barry Fell, and he will show you what the ancient Egyptians' presence all over America. So I would want to recommend him to buy that book and read it and study it. But I'm glad you brought up and reminded me of the questions that he asked and wanted to know the information. So I just want to add that. Go ahead with your commercial.
Okay. All right. Y'all hold on. Make sure you are dialing to the broadcast 319-527-6084. That's 319-527-6084. Press 1 on your phone. That'll give me an indication that you got something. On February the 16th, 2020, Dr. Walter Williams and his lovely wife, Professor Arnetta Williams, will be here live in Jacksonville, Florida. That's right, February the 16th, 2020, Dr. Walter Williams and his wife, Professor Arnetta Williams, will be live at Al Salam's Masjid in Jacksonville, Florida. Tickets are available, $35 a piece. For your tickets, contact Tarhaka Montiel Bay, 904-303-9061. That's 904-303-9061. Don't miss this powerful teaching event. Make sure you got paper and pencil with you. Be there. Hello, everybody. This is Tarhaka. My new website is up and visible at www.tarhakadebtelimination.org. That's www.tarhakadebtelimination.org. All you have to do is subscribe by putting your email address in and send. I rush you my free report that includes what you should know about Big Tobacco and how you get paid. Also, all of our other regular information and links and stuff is there. There's a ton of information that comes along with that free report. Go to www.tarhakadebtelimination.org. Now you can call me 904-303-9061 before 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Peace. Okay, everybody. Tarhaka here again. Now, I know most of you all already know that all mortgages is illegal. But how do we go about getting rid of that mortgage debt? What about the foreclosure situation? What do we do? What steps do we take? Go to www.newdebtelimination.com. That's www.newdebtelimination.com, and so that we can assist you in solving that problem. Also, keep in mind that our new website is up and running. That's www.tarhakadebtelimination.org. That's tarhakadebtelimination.org. Got a problem with mortgages or foreclosure? newdebtelimination.com. newdebtelimination.com. Okay, I'm back, Dr. Williams, if you're still with us.
Yes.
Now, in your the book that you was just prescribing for us, America BC, is this guy Barry, Barry, Fell, Fell?
Yes.
Okay, all right. America BC. I'm going to have to take a look at that one and add it to my collection. But I really enjoyed the works of Dr. Ivan Van Sertima and When Rocks Cry Out by Horace Butler. Ivan Van Sertima's book is They Came Before Columbus. But anyway, as far as the answering the brother's question, I'm posting this stuff up here. I see he's going off the site. Dr. Wynn, you want to give us, in a nutshell, the definition of that Septuagint one more time, so everybody knows exactly what that is, because I'm here looking at this stuff that they're telling us in the on Google. They're saying the Septuagint is defined as a Greek version of Hebrew Bible, Old Testament, including the Apocrypha, made for Greek-speaking Jews in Egypt in the 3rd and 2nd centuries BC and adopted by the early Christian church. So, as far as I'm concerned, all that's wrong.
Correct. That's correct.
But they got a big old definition. The people unsuspecting or not knowing any better, they'll come along and read that there and then go to thinking, well, that's it. You know, Google said it, so it's got to be true. But that's not right. You have to do your own research, your own due diligence, and get down in these books and everything else and cross-reference and all of this stuff.
Right. Well, first thing you got to know, you got to study human ancient history. And the first place where you study human ancient history is that you have to start with your ancestors. Those Africans are known in history as the ancient Egyptians. You got to start there and come forward to the year 2020. You got to start there. You got to find out what happened to our African ancient Egyptian ancestors after the Greeks came into Egypt. See? If you don't start there, then you are missing the understanding of what happened in history and the players in history who make up this history. Like I've heard you say many times, there are two kinds of history. You got history, which is created by the Europeans based off of mythology, fiction, metaphors, lies. Then you got human history that was created by human beings, known in history as the ancient Egyptians. You see? The ancient Egyptians, you know, they are real, live human beings. I didn't say were. They still are. Because we are the descendants of those great and grand and glorious African people. They left us an immortal legacy in stone monuments, the pyramids, the great springs and temples and things like that. And they left us their art, and they left us their literature. You see? So they left us an immortal legacy for us to claim our greatness. So all we got to do is stop the foolishness and get back to ancient Egypt only, clean out all this garbage that's swirling around in your head, and give strong emphasis on focusing in on ancient Egypt only. I recommend to the African community in America and the ones that are hearing my voice, I want you to do something for yourself. I want you, those who have my book, The Historical Origin of Christianity, I want you to do this. Write this down. I want you to read the introduction to my book, The Historical Origin of Christianity. Read that introduction every day for 30 days, and I guarantee you will be acclimated into the knowledge and the awareness of our ancestors, ancient Egyptians. You'll see their greatness is right there. Read that introduction in my book, The Historical Origin of Christianity, for 30 days, every day. Read it once a day. I guarantee you, you'll be a changed human being. And you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Well, that's my suggestion. And if you want to contact me, you can email me at ancientegyptian@msn.com. Ancient, ANCIENT, Egyptian, EGYPTIAN @msn.com. When you email me, if you want to talk to me by phone, put your phone number there, and I'll call you back, and we can converse over the phone one-on-one. So I'm not hiding from you. I want my people who wants to be liberated, who wants to evolve in knowledge, I want to give them, and I will give you, everything that I know. I don't mind giving it to you. It's free. Okay? It's yours for the asking. All I want you to do is ask for it, and I'll give it to you. I'll try to tell you and give you the information that will answer your questions. So email me, ancientegyptian@msn.com. Put your phone number there. If you want to talk to me, I'll call you back, and we can talk, okay? So that's what I have to say, Brother Tarhaka.
Okay. I got your introduction right here, and you'll see that I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I got it right here. It says, as we approach the dawn of a new century, the Western communities continue to consolidate themselves politically, economically, and militarily. Yet the power behind these societies go far beyond their military bases. The key to Western power can only be gauged by its ability to control people throughout the world. To that end, the Western world has incorporated philosophy of psychology where myths, lies, and deceptions are the order of the day, and death and destruction are the Western ways of life. Historically, as you progress through time, you will eventually encounter a powerful triad of religions: Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. All of these religions have had strong mass appeal and persuasive powers, as they remain the most powerful tools in the Western world's arsenal of controlling forces. These religions serve as the ultimate century for Western world interests. They were developed and are perpetuated to preserve past gains, enhance present gains, and ensure future gains. Contrary to popular belief, Christianity serves as the foundation for both Islam and Judaism. To understand the historical origin of Christianity is to understand the true nature and purpose of religion. To understand religion is to take it out of the romantic and mysterious and mystical and expose it as having no historical realism or boundaries. The only boundaries those religions have are that of the writer's imagination. And that's very, very profound right there in itself, Dr. Williams, just in the introduction. And, of course, you got a tremendous amount of information in your prefix and further up in there in the book. But now, when it comes to the Jews being in Egypt, could you explain to us again the impossibility of a Jew being in Egypt in the first place?
First place, there's no such people as a Jew. Salomo Sand wrote a book about 12, 13, 15 years ago. Salomo Sand teaches at the illegal state, or in the illegal state of Israel, at the Tel Aviv University. He wrote a book after he had completed his 10-year tenure at that university. He wrote a book entitled The Invention of the Jewish People. In other words, the title itself tells you about Jews. Invented. Okay? They call themselves having a language, which they call it Hebrew. Now, they call it modern Hebrew. Old Hebrew, they say, went into disuse many years ago, many years ago. That's another lie. So let's look into the language. In 1922, after World War I, World War I was 1914 to 1918. 4 years later, they created a dialect known as Yiddish. A Yiddish dialect was created to identify a supposed religious group in Europe to distinguish themselves from other Europeans. It is a German-based guttural dialect, which is spoken today as I speak in the illegal state of Israel. So in 1922, they came out with a dialect called Yiddish, which is German-based. Mm-hmm. Now, when the Jews of Poland spoke the same Yiddish, but with a Polish-based or Polish words intertwined in this language, but it was still Yiddish, and so forth and so on. Now, this was created in 1922. Now, when the UN gave the okay by way of the urging of the United States government and Great Britain to give Cam Weissman, a Zionist, a portion of Palestine to make a statehood.
Mm-hmm.
So in 1948, they took Yiddish and they changed it to modern Hebrew. And then they went about destroying and burning and confiscating all Yiddish literature by way of books, newspapers, plays, etc., etc., to get Yiddish and destroy Yiddish, so for the future generations to come, the future generations won't know anything about Yiddish because it's been destroyed. And they call Yiddish today Hebrew, modern Hebrew. And then, if you get my book, The Historical Origin of Islam, and you look up on page 132 or 134, I believe, 132, I believe, the alphabet chart. In the alphabet chart, I put, to my left, I put the ancient Egyptian who brought forth the world's first alphabet. I put that alphabet over to the very left, which is the hieratic demotic alphabet. From that alphabet came the Greek. From that alphabet of our ancestors came the Latin. From that alphabet of our ancestors, which is the world's first alphabet ever created on planet Earth, came the Hebrew. And I will show you from those Hebrew sections, those large black calligraphied letters, how it matches up with the hieratic demotic alphabet of the ancient Egyptian. You see? So this is what the Jews have done up until this point. Now, where is Judaism coming from? Zionism. Where is Judaism coming from? The Bible. See? There was no humans walking this earth called Jews or Hebrews or Israelites. None of that. Canaanites, none of that. That's biblical characteristic literature. Okay, with characters in it. And the Zionism came about in 1860 in Paris, France, from the AIU, Alliance Israelite Universal of Paris, France. They created Zionism. Zionism, there's no one definition of Zionism. There are many definitions of Zionism. But let's break it down to a very common understanding about Zionism. Zionism was used to create from the Bible, from the stories in the Bible about Israelites, Canaanites, Hebrews, etc., Jews, and so forth and so on. They used the Bible to create a human Jew by way of Zionist theology. You see? And Abraham is the main character in Zionism. Because Abraham is in all three major Western religions: Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. The Zionist Jews in 1870 created Islam, today's Islam, because today's Islam is based off of a book called the Quran. That's what today's Islam is based off of. Now, you also have Mohammedanism, which I speak about and write about in my book, The Historical Origin of Islam. So you have those two Islams out there. So you should know the difference between the two, and I put it in my book, The Story Origin of Islam. So in 1870, a group of scholars came from Paris, France, into Syria in northeast Africa, today called the Middle East, which is a political name, and they created for the Mohammedan world what is known as the Quran. You look in today's Quran, you will see interspersed throughout today's Quran, you will see the Pentateuch and Psalms, which is Jewish writings. You will see interspersed in today's Quran Christianity, the four Christian Gospels. That was done and put there by the Zionists who created this Quran and literature for the Mohammedan world. Now, here's what they did. They came over there, and they had to have and be in control of the literature for the Mohammedan world because the world was changing. See? It was changing. See? And the Ottoman Turks was in charge. And they knew it was just a matter of time that the Ottoman Turkish Empire would be toppled. So they came there and set up shop in Syria, and they created what is known as today's Quran. And this is what they did. In creating that today's Quran, they put Abraham in there. That's the reason why you see Abraham is in all three major Western religions, Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. How did Abraham get into Christianity? Well, Abraham was supposed to be the father of Isaac. Isaac is supposed to be the father of Jacob. Jacob is now the grandson of Abraham. Jacob changed his name, according to the stories in the Bible, to Israel. Then he had 12 sons, and that makes up the 12 tribes of Israel. One of the tribes of the 12 tribes is named Judah. And they said that from the tribe of Judah came Jesus the Christ. Therefore, he was a Jew. That's where the Jesus the Christ became a Jew, by being associated with the tribe of Judah. You see? All this is done by way of literature, by way of history. You have to know history. So therefore, who created the Jew? Where is the Jew? Where was he born? In the Bible. Who brought him out of the Bible? The Zionist Jews brought him into the Bible, out of the Bible. And then Zionism began. And the leader of that Zionist movement at the time was Cam Weissman, who Walter Lionel Rothschild, who was a member of the British Parliament, took Cam Weissman before the British Parliament during World War I. World War I is 1914 to 1918, and told the British Parliament to give the Zionists, under the leadership of Cam Weissman, a portion of Palestine to make a statehood for the Jews. That Walter Lionel Rothschild told the Parliament, the British Parliament, if you do this, Cam Weissman, who was a chemist from Mansfield, England, he could make you a chemical weapon to defeat the Ottoman Turkish Empire and the Ottoman Turks. In 1917, that's when they brought Cam Weissman before the British government, Parliament. And the British Parliament agreed to do that. And that's where the birth of the Balfour Declaration came about. The Balfour Declaration came about in 1917. And in this Balfour Declaration, a portion of Palestine was supposed to be given to the Zionist Jews to make a statehood, and also a portion of Palestine was supposed to be given to the Palestinians. Now, mind you, over in that area today, it's nothing but Northeast Africa. The land over there belongs to African people, but they have been flooded out by the influx of Arabs, people that we know as Arabs, those white European Arabs coming out of Pakistan, etc., into that area, flooding that area with the presence of themselves. And now you have that area is called the Middle East, which is nothing but Northeast Africa. And that area was mandated after World War I to the British. Now, the war ended in 1918. In 1917, like I mentioned before, the Balfour Declaration was created to give a portion of Palestine to the Zionist Jews to make a homeland or a statehood. And that Balfour Declaration of 1917 was supposed to be given the other portion to the people that are living there, the Palestinians, to give them a homeland. But after World War I, this was supposed to happen, but the British government reneged on that. And they didn't give no side, the Zionists any portion of Palestine or the Palestinians any portion of Palestine. So they reneged on that until Abram Stern came on the scene with his gang known in history as the Stern Gang in 1940. And the Stern Gang bombed and burned the King David Hotel over there in Palestine. Burned it and caused a fire over there. Also, the Stern Gang killed 2 British agents over there. And then just brought in David Green, known in history as David Ben-Gurion, who became the first prime minister of Israel, the legal state of Israel. He was the one that told the British where Abram Stern lived. And they went there, the British agent went and found Abram Stern and murdered him, dressed him up and put him in a casket, and took pictures of him. And that was in 1947. In 1947, the British and the United States decided that the Stern Gang, with their leader being murdered and killed by the British agent, was not going to stop there at the bombing of the King David Hotel and et cetera, et cetera. It would still cause trouble. So what they did was that they said, well, we better take Cam Weissman, which they did, before the UN, and ask the UN to give Cam Weissman and the Zionist Jews a portion of Palestine to make a statehood. Okay? They did just that a year later. That was in 1947-48. The legal state of Israel was in progress. See? So this is some of the history to attach to non-humans that are known as Jews. Only places you can find them is in the Bible by way of narrative stories. No human on earth do you find a Jew. There's no culture. In order to have anything of human substance, you have to have human beings living on planet Earth. And they're living on as human beings on planet Earth. From their living on planet Earth, they create a society and a culture coming from that space that they occupy. It's like we, over in this hemisphere of North America, we created in our culture the things that we created by being humans and being present and living over here in North America. We created jazz, gospel, blues, all forms of dance, and so forth and so on. I can go on and on, but our inventions and creation, all from our culture that we brought forth by living in this hemisphere of North America. You have to have a sedentary people living anywhere, being stationary or sedentary in that area, in order for them to create a culture, and from their culture they bring forth whatever that springs from that culture. So you don't have that in the creation of Jews. Just like Solomon Sand said in his book, the invention of the Jewish people. They were invented. Okay? And they kept alive from that invention by Zionist Jews who created, by way of mythology, a supposed culture and a society for them by way of them being created by literature, the Bible, and other forms of literature, and not human history. So that's my answer, Brother Tarhaka.
Okay, Dr. Will. Now, this thing about the culture of Islam, and then we have the Quran, and which I'm for the listening audience. Which came first, the so-called culture, or did the Quran come first?
No, Mohammedanism came first. See,
okay.
If a person say, I want to debate you on Islam, I say, okay, which Islam you want to debate me on? You got Mohammedanism was first. And in my book, The Historical Origin of Islam, I'll tell you in that book how today's Islam came about. Today's Islam came about, like I mentioned before, it's nothing but it's coming from and created by a book called the Quran. See? So in my book, The Historical Origin of Islam, I'll tell you how today's Islam came about by using the biography and life of one Ibn al-Arabi, alias Muhammad. Muhammad Ibn al-Arabi, alias Muhammad. That's whose life that they took and biography to create today's Islam. I put that in my book, The Historical Origin of Christianity. Arabi was born in Spain. He was born a Moor in Spain. So my book will narrate you through that. So if a person, I urge the person, I'm not trying to sell you no book. You don't have to buy it if you don't want to. It's up to you. But I urge you, if you want to continue to evolve in knowledge, you're going to have to read and study something. So referring my books as a step for you to understand what's out here in the world today, presented as human history. Don't mistake Bible and Quranic stories written in those books to be human history, because it's not. Human history starts with our ancestors, the ancient Egyptians, like I mentioned before. And you're going to have to go and start at that point. Start studying our ancestors, the ancient Egyptians, and stay there. And come and grow in it. Be strong in it. And then what you do when you do that, you'll wipe out white supremacy, because white supremacy will not have a chance to stand and initiate white supremacy anymore. Europeans won't be able to do that. So that's my answer, Brother Tarhaka.
Okay. Now, because on the at the base of your book, The Historical Origins of Islam, you stated that there had never been a man of Islamic tradition that ever walked the face of the earth by the name of Muhammad. And on the bottom of your book, The Historical Origins of Christianity, there has never been a man that ever walked the earth in human form of any race, creed, or color by the name of Jesus Christ. These are some very, very powerful statements. And I think a lot of people who are steeped in religious beliefs have a hard time with these statements. But in order for, in my personal opinion, in order for us to move on and evolve and get into a different perspective, we're going to have to come to the conclusions on these things and get away from this stuff about believing in things. And even if you believe in something, the least you can do is have some concrete evidence about what you believe in, instead of just telling people, well, you know, I don't believe that. Well, you know, one thing about truth, you can believe anything you want to believe. The truth just gonna be there. It ain't going nowhere. You know, it is amazing to me that how an individual could try to debate facts based on what they believe with no facts. That's rather strange to me, Dr. Williams.
I can understand that.
That's devastating. I just got a lecture today by a young lady that told me that you know, you ought to be ashamed of yourself, saying that you don't believe in God. You're going to go to hell. That's what she told me. I just looked at it, I said, I'm not going to debate with you. I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not going to try to tell you anything other to deal with this situation anymore, because it's really, really a sad state of affairs, and it don't do me any good. It wouldn't, in my opinion, I don't think it would have done me any good to question her about the facts surrounding what it is she claimed to believe in. I mean, if you believe in something, the least you could do is know something about what it is you believe in, other than saying, well, look, I believe it and that's it, and I'm willing to debate anybody about it. No facts. No evidence. Just something in your head, in your mind, and you know, and it's really, really devastating to our people, and they're really turned around about it. A man watching me wear clothing every day reflecting my culture, my dashikis and kufis and stuff, and he comes out of the Christian church to try to give me a European jacket. And I said, man, that is amazing to me. You know, I mean, if you, ever since you ever seen me, you've never seen me in anything other than what reflects my own culture. So what are you trying to say to me? Well, you know, I'm trying to figure out, what do you think that was about, Dr. Williams?
Well, he is seeing you in something that he doesn't understand. Your garments that you wear, he doesn't understand that, because he's in another world. He's in a European trained world where his whole life is engulfed with Christianity, the Bible, just Jesus, this God, everything. You see, so he doesn't know anything about our African culture of the ancient Egyptians. He don't know that. And the Bible is an enemy of our people, because the Bible, via Exodus, teaches the Christian and the believer in Christianity that our ancestors, the ancient Egyptians, the Pharaoh, had Jews in bondage. So that's, to them, represent evilness, you see? So they don't have anything to do with it. And then you got to remember that the same person has been indoctrinated from the time he came out of his mother's womb, because his parents, who created him, was indoctrinated by the European system and society. So that was passed on to him. So he grows up in this foolishness, in this lie and lies, and he is now in the church, believing and bowing down to a dead white man on the cross, giving away all his spiritual power, devaluing his ancestors' greatness, devaluing his own humanity. He devalued his own humanity. He devalued his ancestors' greatness without even knowing it. See? So his ancestors, the ancient Egyptians, have been made a bad person by way of the stories in the Bible that he is reading in the church and the preacher is preaching about in the church. So when he sees you with this your native African garb on, he don't understand you. That's another way of saying, here, brother, take this coat. I don't understand you. Why are you dressed like that? You know, all he has to do is ask you, say, why do you dress the way you do? And then you can sit down and say, well, have a seat, my brother, and you can explain it to him. See? But no, he's going to come up with you, to you and tell you that there's nothing wrong with you because you wear African garb. That's the bottom line. Brother Tarhaka?
Now, so what you're saying to me is, because, you know, I've never been to China, but I have seen videos and I've read in-depth information about Chinese culture, especially out in the suburbs and places like that, where you have the architecture of the houses and stuff is Chinese architecture, and then the style of dress of the people reflects their culture.
Correct.
And these people, if they're wearing their cultural garments, they're automatically respected by the same people, by the same our people. But as soon as we begin to reflect our culture, then it seems to be a problem among our people.
Well, that goes back to what I said. They have been taught to devalue themselves, to value their ancestors, ancient Egyptians, without even knowing that they are devaluing our ancestors or themselves. They don't know that. They're not even aware of that. See? In other words, people like him, and you got millions of them walking this earth, they wake up, but they're asleep at the same time. They wake up every morning, go about their business, but they're sound asleep. They are alive, sleep at the same time. So you're going to get that. So those people, either they want to change, learn to change, or be aware of that they need to change, and learn what they're doing to their lives and their ancestors, then you're going to have to leave them alone and teach the younger generations coming and the unborn. That's our future hope. And like one of the callers said tonight, churches are beginning to close all over America. You and I have had different ministers on our show as guests to attest to them closing their churches. Okay? So it's happening. So we have to keep on doing what we want to do for all those who don't understand what we're doing or what has to be done for the future of our people, Africans in America, and for the unborn who are yet to come into this world. To those who don't understand that, we've got to let them just perish and die away. And that's it. Because you can argue with them, you can present facts to them, don't mean anything. See? They believe. As long as they believe and don't want to stop and think and begin to evolve, you have to leave them alone and cut them loose. And you say, may I hotep to them, I love you, my brother and sister, and that's it. That's my answer.
Wow, it is amazing. I wish it was at all possible that I could hold a conversation with one. If I'm holding a conversation with them about real estate or economics or something like that, without them bringing up some type of reference to a God or some religious term. I have yet to be able to do that, and it's amazing to me because if I'm talking to them about economics, or if I'm talking to them about certain things, they can't seem to hold a steady conversation without bringing up some type of religious reference. If you ask them a question, it's like I had this one young lady told me that she was dating a guy, and every other statement that came out of his mouth was, well, you know, God willing, so and so and so and so. And she said she was getting frustrated by that, and she asked him one day what time he was getting off of work. He said, well, God willing, probably about 5 o'clock. She said, wait a minute, you tell me that God willing one more time will knock you in the head. She said, every time I ask you something, it's God willing. When you going to be willing? When you going to be
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, man. Boy, she tickled me talking about that. I said, well, you got to understand, some people, their mind is just in their mind. Oh, boy.
Yeah, that was funny.
Anyway, we got 7 minutes, and you want to give us your closing remarks?
Well, as I said before, if you want to reach me, you can reach me by email at ancientegyptian@msn.com. ancientegyptian@msn.com. If you want to converse with me by phone, put your phone number there, and I'll call you back, and we can go from that point. My 2 books, The Historical Origin of Christianity, has been out for 27 years this year, selling all over America, the UK, and the Caribbean, Australia, etc., any English-speaking country. And the thesis of that book, The Historical Origin of Christianity, is saying that there's never been a man that ever walked the earth in human form of any race, creed, or color by the name of Jesus Christ. My second book, The Historical Origin of Islam, has been out for 17 years this month. The thesis of that book is saying that there's never been a man that ever walked the earth in human form by the name of the Prophet Muhammad of the Islamic tradition never existed. And I want to bring this out about the Prophet Muhammad and Islam. You have billions of human beings walking this earth who have embraced the religion called Islam. They call themselves Muslims, following the teaching of one Muhammad. No human on earth who have embraced Islam and call themselves a Muslim, which the numbers, like I mentioned, goes up to over 2 billion humans walking this earth. Out of the 8 billion humans walking this earth, over 2 billion of the 8 billion humans walking this earth are Muslims. They embrace Islam. I want the listening audience to understand this. No Muslim on earth have ever seen an icon or a picture of the Prophet Muhammad. They've never seen the Prophet Muhammad. If he walks up to them and says, "Hi, I'm the Prophet Muhammad," they run and jump out of their skin. Because no human has ever seen, and no Muslim has ever seen a picture or an icon or an image of the Prophet Muhammad. None whatsoever. For the Muslims, for your study of Islam, you should go and get an encyclopedia called the Shorter Encyclopedia of Islam. On page 390, concerning Muhammad, they said in that article on page 390 in the Shorter Encyclopedia of Islam that there's no biography in existence for a Prophet Muhammad. On that same page, on page 390, they said they have no data or information that a Prophet Muhammad ever lived in Mecca. If you have no Prophet Muhammad living in Mecca, then you have no flight out of Mecca into Medina. See, all that's corruption or corrupted coming forth by way of misinformation based off of lies and mythology given to the people who are followers of Islam. Then I mentioned on one of our shows about the university in Munster, Germany. The University of Munster, Germany had built an annex building. This annex building was to be built to house the Islamic Center of Munster University in Munster, Germany. They hired a Muslim to be the teacher there, a man by the name of Muhammad VII Galish. This was brought out in the Wall Street Journal about 15 years ago. The story I'm telling you now. Muhammad VII Galish was supposed to be the teacher there, to teach students who came from around the world to that center to learn about Islam. He went one day and told the officials of Munster University that he could no longer teach Islam. And they said, ask him why. He said, from further studying Islam, I have discovered that there is no Muhammad. And you can imagine what those officials said and how they reacted to that.
Mm-hmm.
So, people from around the world, different people, is bringing out different information for us Africans in this country and who's living in this world and the rest of the people to wake up. The information is out there. People are telling you things like I'm telling you things. Tarhaka is telling you things. Tarhaka has created a platform for me to come on to tell you things. See? So therefore, information, new information is there, but you have to be willing and ready to understand and grab this information and evolve yourself out of this dilemma that we are in as a people. You see? And all these religions are beginning to tell the truth to the people. They're not going to stay out there all day telling you the truth now. You got to be ready and receptive to, when the information come your way, understand what you're looking at and what you're receiving, what you're hearing. See? So, that's what I have to say at this time, Brother Tarhaka. And
all right.
I certainly appreciate
Dr.
you.
Williams.
I certainly appreciate you, my brother, for having me as your guest and creating this platform to have me as your guest on your show. Thank you.
Well,
Thank you.
Okay, well, I certainly appreciate you being here, Dr. Williams. I'm going to go ahead and shut it down. We come to the close of the broadcast, and I'd like to say Mayat Hotep to you, and to next time.
Mayat Hotep to you, my brother.
All right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes tonight's broadcast. I've been your host, Tarhaka Amana El Bey, and y'all have a good evening. On February the 16th, 2020, Dr. Walter Williams and his lovely wife, Professor Arnetta Williams, will be here live in Jacksonville, Florida. That's right, February the 16th, 2020, Dr. Walter Williams and his wife, Professor Arnetta Williams, will be live at Al Salam's Masjid in Jacksonville, Florida. Tickets are available, $35 apiece. For your tickets, contact Tarhaka Amana El Bey, 904-303-9061. That's 904-303-9061. Don't miss this powerful teaching event. Make sure you got paper and pencil with you. Be there.